Hi. So now that we're able to run our application on our device successfully, um, I should now show you, I think, an easy way to run your application as well. What you can do is remember there's this W here where you can just open web. So when you click on this W, what it does is it opens your project inside a web folder or a web browser. Now, the web browser and your phone are actually different. So I find it way comfortable running Expo on my phone and coding from there than running it on a web browser. Why? Because there's some things that work differently on a mobile phone. I mean, if I want to build websites, I'd rather use a different framework than Expo. That's on my on my preference, like personal. So I don't normally use Expo for web development. If I did, I would be running the project every time inside a web browser. But because I normally use it for mobile, so I'd rather just run it on phone. Why? Because the phone has got different ways on how it accesses the camera, how the phone accesses the camera, how you can play with some other things like shaking the phone. You see that these different APIs, maybe like Face ID and whatnot. So I find that if I'm working on the phone, like how I even push notifications, how I do my routing is so different from how it works on the web. Even though it works on the web, I normally maybe just prefer using the phone. Ideally, so this is the web. If you're using the web, it should work for you. This is the same thing that's running on my mobile device here. Okay, and the fact that you have to work with maybe screen resolution on the web, I think maybe that's the reason why I like running away from the web. Throughout this tutorial, I'll try to mix the two, but mostly I'm sure you're going to see me use the phone more often. So let's start. So when last time, remember we talked about the folder structure and how we were able to convert that folder structure to reset it so that we start from scratch. Okay, so here what you have to learn is I'm going to teach you maybe one or two things, just the code that's here, just to explain a bit. Then I'll show you maybe how the entire app is running and what's happening. So when you reload the Expo app, let's say you reload when it's loading, you see there's a blank page, the white page. Can you notice there's this page here whenever it's loading? So that page is known as the splash screen, and it exists inside your assets, images, then there's a splash icon. All right, so that's the blank page. So you can design that splash screen. I think I'll try to dedicate a video or two just to show you how you can design your proper splash screen. And then you can see that the app will always start running from the folder, which is app. So this folder app is where your app is going to start running from. And the first thing it does, it goes through the layout.tsx. So in our case, I've not done anything in the layout, but it says, okay, go to the layout. And when it goes to the layout, it needs to run the index. So the index is, maybe I would say, is the first page that runs in your app. That's the index. And in our case, you can open the index. You can see that there's this edit app.index to start the screen, which is the same text here. Meaning, if you are able to edit this word here and just maybe put my traditional greeting, all right. If I'm able to edit this, let's hope I have fast refresh enabled. Oh, I didn't enable it. Okay, I've just enabled. Okay, I should be able to see. Okay, it's enabled now. I should be able to see whatever I'm typing appearing on the screen here. All right, hope you can see that. Now, we don't need to go deep into navigation for now. That's a broad concept that we should tackle in the future. But let's just focus on what's going on, the HTML elements, and what are we doing here. So Expo is running your whole entire application from a function. And this function, this is how you define a JavaScript function. Okay. And in this function, the name of the function is index, and it has to be exported so that it can be picked up by Expo. If you don't export it, it will not run. So if you remove this and then just put the function like this, it doesn't run. All right. So when I export, that's when it runs. Now, what you have to understand is that we are using some tools from React Native, which is the text and the view. So these two elements can be used in this fashion. So the view is used as a way or a container for you to put your elements in. So I've removed everything. So it has an opening tag and a closing tag. If you know HTML, well, lucky for you, the view simply does the same job that the div element does. So if you know the div in React Native, we call it view. All right. So it can do a good job, such as nesting your components. So there's also a text that I've just deleted. It starts with capital T. All right. This is an element that shows text element on your app. Okay, so you have to do it like this. There's no any other way. You can see the text on the top corner here. So I think, let me just bring back the styles. You don't worry about the styles for now. I just want to show you the major concept here. Say, okay, don't worry about the styles for now. We'll dedicate another thing just for that. So if we have this, okay, should be items. Yep. So the text will always show text, and the view will always be a container. Why do you need to do it like this? Because in Expo, we follow what we call something like a tree structure type of view set. So that means that there has to be one parent element. Then under that one parent element, then you have to show something. Ideally, you can show the text without the view. All right. It will still work. The text is there at the corner. If you can see, it still works. So maybe let me just increase the font size for me to be able to show the text. For those that are not able to see, font size 20. Let me give you that font. You see the text, huh? The text is here. It still works. But why do you need the view? You need the view because you cannot create, let's say if you want to create 3 or 4 texts here, you have to do it like this. And React Native is going to give you an error. All right. These elements have to be wrapped inside inside a view. All right. If I reload, my app should clash. Yeah, it's clashing. Why? Because of this whole thing right here. Okay, because of this whole thing right here. So now, for you to resolve this, you need to wrap these small elements inside a parent element, and then I cannot wrap it in text, because you see the text is being used here to what, to show the text element, and you don't do it like this because your app is going to have maybe images, videos, voice notes, and whatnot, and the ideal, like the standard component for that is this view. Right? Ideally, you can also use React fragments, something like this. It works, but the challenge comes in when you want to add styles to this container. All right. So you find that the view works best. That's the job of the view right here. Okay. Let me just reload. Okay, you can see now text 1 and text 2. So that's the importance of the view. The text is being used to show text. Why do you need a text? Because if I was to put, say, a text outside view, my app is going to have an error. Okay, so you can go in here to show that there's a text that you're trying to render and it's outside the view and your app is going to clash. All right, Expo will not be lenient on you, it's going to crash. So what happens is you have to be very careful with React Expo whenever you're coding. Let's say you have a page that has got probably 1,000 lines of code, right? And maybe in those lines you just maybe type maybe a K by mistake. All right, and then there's some code there that's running, but there's a number like maybe a K that is inside maybe a return statement, and that number is not inside it, it's not wrapped inside the text. So Expo will clash the entire app or the page, that particular component that you're calling. Why? Because you've not wrapped it inside the text. So all text that you want to show on your app, ensure that you wrap them inside a text. There are some third-party packages that work differently. However, you just have to stick to the documentation, and for the documentation of React, wrap your text inside the text. All right. Your style is the same as the style on your HTML CSS. So if you've done your HTML CSS, the style is going to be the same. The difference is this uses what we call camel case. You can call it camel case, others will say camel case. So this is how you define your style. So you have to say style, then you put double curly braces, and then you write your styles in here. So if I put flex as one, what I'm doing here is I'm saying I want this view to take the entire size of the screen. Let me show you. Let me put the background color. So if I put background color, and this is how you write your background color. Let's use red. All right. I think I need to reload. All right. You can see on top, I have a background color of red. Now, this is not what I want it to be. It's just taking the size of these elements. Now, I don't want to design it like that. I want to get the entire size of the screen. So that's when I use flex. All right. So flex is used to get the size of the screen. Let's say I want to get one, meaning I get everything. Okay. So inside the flex, let's say, let me put this maybe 20, another 20, and another 20. Now, I want to divide these sub elements, all right? So I can wrap this in a view. So inside this view, I can put the first text, and then this other text, wrap it in the second view, all right? So if I was to rearrange my code, this is how it looks. Now, what I want to do is to go to this view and style it, maybe give it a different color for the background. Okay, so if I say background color is going to be white, it's going to be like this. Okay, just need to reload my app, and then you see that the first text has a background color of white. Okay, now that that's done, I just want to get uh, the flex of this one. So I'm teaching you view and how you can use flex. So if I say flex, now I want to get a fraction of the screen. Maybe I want to get 30%. Then I have to do 0.3. So ideally 30% is like 0.3 in your math. So why? Because one is like the maximum number is one. Here is like 100. All right. So these are fractions, and Expo will calculate them as fractions. And how you put them, I think that this is the easiest way. You can put large numbers. I'm sure it works, but I feel like the base is just to use these. Then this one should get 0.7. All right. Automatically it does. Now, if I was to put this maybe 2, then you see that this one will get 0.7. If I was to put the background color of this one, let me give it a yellow. Let me give it a blue. if I was to show you this, you see that this one gets a 20 on top, 20%, but this one get a 70%. 7 plus 2 is 9. So there will be a 10% remaining, which is this one showing down here, which is because the parent view has a red background. That's how it works. So that's how you can use view, or rather use flex inside views. So the view is basically used to do your styles. Okay. Another cool thing you can do, let me just give it back to 30. Another cool thing you can do in the views is to use justify content. So what this does is shape takes your content to the center, all right, of the actual container. So this view, the flex which is getting one, it will not, you cannot see that because all the two views have taken up the entire screen. But let's use it in this second view, which has got the top header. If I use justify content center, you see that it pushes it to the center of the y axis or x axis. Okay, it pulls it to the center here on the y value. All right, now align items will do the same but on the x value, meaning it will push it to the center of this side. Okay, if I want to push it to the end, I just have to say flex end, and it pushes it to this end. If I want to push it to the start, it's flex start. All right, so those are some of the things that you can play around with. You can do the same with justify content, flex end, flex start. It's going to work. So if I do the same with this, let me say I just want to get the align items instead of the flex center. All right, I want to get the sorry, I want to get the align items. All right, and then instead of center, I just put, okay, it's okay, them at the center like this. All right, so what I'm doing there is I'm just aligning the items. I can put a gap of 20. You see the gap. Now, I don't like how the first element is starting so close to the line on top. So meaning I can put something like a padding. When I put a padding, this is a number, I put 20, it pushes it down to 20. If I push 80, it pushes it down. If I push 90, so the padding is a space around, right? So now that we have this, shake your phone and let's go to inspect element. Okay, if you click on the text, you can see how the text is. You can see how the text is. Now, if you click at the edge of that box, you will see the padding being shown. If we increase this padding to 80, you see what happens. Let me try to reload. If we increase it to 80, let's check the phone again. We go on element inspector. It's already deactivated, I'm sure. Okay, I can see it. Hide element inspector. Okay, now you see how this dark blue is the padding, then this light blue is the what goes inside. And then you can see there's another element which is known as margin. If you can see down below here, the numbers here, there's padding and margin. So let's keep padding 40 and let's have a margin 40 as well. You see the outer side, which is the red one, is the margin, and the blue one is the padding. All right, and then this what's inside is where the text sits. So you see this red side, this is the margin. All right, and then the blue side is the padding. The light blue is where you can write your code in. So maybe if you want to design, you need to understand padding and margin. Padding is more like the space outside the box and how you're going to space it next to other element. Padding is the space within the box where the items inside the box are going to start from. All right, I think that's the easy concept. If you've done HTML and CSS, you see that it's very easy for you to adapt to React Native because it follows the same concepts, and you can do this on your mobile device with ease. With ease, guys. So let me just disable my debugger. I shake my phone. Sure. All right. Now that's what we did. You can remove these. So those are just things that you can play around with. There are a lot of styles. You can do your research on how to style some pages, but in this lesson, what we focused on has been the views and the text and some styles on the views. So in the next video, I'm showing you some more styles of the view and how you can play around with the view. Thank you very much. See you next time.